No. No, 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 no.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Hey guys, so I am so excited for this video. I've been wanting to talk about this for so long and I just haven't had time, or I didn't wear makeup and I kind of wanted to. I don't know, it's weird. Excuses. But this has been my most anticipated review, I think, from you guys, and also pretty much the most anticipated movie of the year besides Rings for me. And of course, we're talking about Get Out today, which is Jordan Peele's directorial debut, which I'm a fan of Jordan Peele as it is, and Key and Peele, I think he's really funny, so I was already looking forward to this because I know his humor, and I knew if there was humor in the movie, based on the trailer, it looked like there was going to be, that I knew it would land well. Like, it would be not too overbearing, it wouldn't be too much, it would be just enough to make it, you know, more entertaining. A really good example that I really like is You're Next. I feel like that movie had a really good amount of humor in it, and I was surprised to see that Get Out didn't have as much humor. I thought it would be like Your Next level. I thought it would have at least that much humor. I didn't think it was going to be like a black comedy by any means, but I did think it was going to have a few more jokes, so I don't know if that's like something to be disappointed about, but I did want to see more of his humor, I think, come through. But the parts where it was funny, it was really funny. So it did make me laugh at times, so that I give credit for. So obviously this has been a very talked about film because it addresses the social issue of racism, which is still very prevalent in today's society. And I was really interested to see how he was going to, you know, paint it, and as a white viewer, how I was going to interpret it, because I know it can be kind of hard. We don't understand what Black people go through on a daily basis. And yes, of course, this video is going to get political. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, because this is part of the movie. This is what we need to talk about. And it did a really, really good job at painting this picture for any viewer, regardless of race. I feel like this did so well in even making those of us who are not African American feel uncomfortable. It made us feel like the main character, which, you know, isn't necessarily possible because we can't relate on a day-to-day basis. But in that moment, in that hour and a half or whatever in the theater, when you're watching this film, you feel his discomfort. I feel like it was so well executed that even I could feel his discomfort based on race, which is so bizarre because obviously I've never felt that in my life. And I'm not saying that, oh, I now understand what you guys go through. I get it. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm just saying in this film, they did such a good job with the way it makes you feel uncomfortable that even as a white person, I could sense it. Obviously, the situation's not going to be the same as it is in real life because this is obviously a movie. It's a very, like, you know, kind of futuristic almost film where it's a different, it doesn't feel like as realistic, I guess. So I don't know if this is even accurate. One of the reviews and commentary that I really liked is by Ari Fitz. I will link her video down below. I think she did a really good job talking about it, especially since she is African American. I think she can shed a little bit more light as to whether this was successful or not. Okay, now we're gonna get into the movie itself and my criticisms and what I liked and didn't like and like certain things, and we're gonna talk about some things that you may have missed if you've seen it, which I'll get into in the spoilers, which I will be doing spoilers. This will probably be a very long video, but I really want to talk about this movie because I really liked it, so I got a lot to cover. Firstly, just technically from a directorial debut standpoint, this was phenomenal. I didn't find many flaws within it. There were a few like consistency flaws that kind of jolted me out, but I'm just really picky when it comes to that kind of thing. There's a scene in the beginning where he's shaving, he suds up one side of his face, and then it cuts to another scene and it's like not sudsed up anymore, and he hadn't even started shaving. So it was just like small things that are super nitpicky, but things that stand out to me as a viewer. Now, as far as like being a horror movie, this was not necessarily a horror film. I don't even know if it was really marketed. I mean, actually it was. I remember specifically people were saying it's Jordan Peele's first movie and it's a horror film. He's gonna do more like political issue horror films, which I'm excited for. But for me, it didn't come across as a horror film. There was a little bit of gore, which I wasn't expecting, but I really liked. It was well done. So obviously the storyline goes that there is an interracial couple and she's introducing her boyfriend to her family for the first time. And he's nervous about it because he's like, do they know I'm black? And she's like, no, I didn't tell, like, why would I tell them that? That's weird to just be like, hey, by the way, my black boyfriend's coming to town. Which you see that in the trailer. And what I really enjoyed is the subtle, like, gradual discomfort that you feel throughout the film. Like, it's so subtle that by the end you're like, I feel really uncomfortable right now, and there wasn't even a jump to get there. It was like just so gradual. If you haven't seen it, that might not make sense to you, but if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Just go see it in theaters. I think it really should do well in the box office because it is his first movie, and I think we should, you know, pay tribute to that because I think he deserves it. It is so well done. He liked my tweet, by the way. Can we just talk about that? Jordan Peele liked my tweet from back in the day when I said I was very much anticipating this film. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, I just really need to talk about spoilers and the ending and stuff, but definitely if you haven't seen it yet, go see it in theaters. It is so much a theater experience that you'd be missing out a lot if you waited for it to come out on DVD. So we're gonna get into spoilers. I highly recommend turning this video off if you have not seen it yet because you do not want to know what happens until you're in the theater, trust me. And then towards the end, we're gonna talk about theories, like fan theories that people have talked about, and then this BuzzFeed article that actually talks about hidden secrets that are in the movie that you might not have noticed, that I didn't notice until seeing this. So I'm going to talk about some of my favorite theories from that. Okay, so you do find out that Rose is actually in on, you know, the whole situation. Chris, right, that's his name, yeah. Chris finds this box of photos that she's taken with other African-American men, and he's like, she told me I was the only black guy that she's ever dated. Okay, they don't talk about it in this article, but I read it somewhere else that it was like a specific type of racism where they're obsessed with their type of ability or skill. And so they basically transplant their brains into healthier, like fitter bodies. And it's really strange. Like, it's such a weird concept, but in the movie it makes sense. Like, it's very weird. I liked it, but I did think it was a little bit confusing until the end when you actually see like what the process is like. It was kind of like, wait a second, so what are they doing exactly? Okay, I'm gonna get into some of the subtle things that you might have missed in the film. Some of them might have been a little bit more obvious to some of you. I just said some a lot, I'm sorry. But okay, so the first one, Rose isn't actually sticking up for Chris when she argues with the cop about the ID. She's avoiding a paper trail. So in the beginning of the film, there is this moment, and you can see it in the trailer as well, where she's like, why do you need to see his ID? He wasn't driving. And then she gets really mad in the film, which we don't really see in the trailer, but she gets very upset about it. And he, you know, is like, that's hot that you stuck up for me like that. And she's like, no, I just don't want anyone messing with my man. But if you think about the ending and how she's actually in on it and how she cons these black men into dating her to, you know, lure them to her family to do these transplant things, it's very weird. But if you think about it like that, she's basically making sure that there wasn't any, you know, connection of him to that family. Now, the thing that happens in the beginning that I didn't even realize, but basically Chris's mother was involved in a hit and run, and when he was a little boy, he didn't call anyone or do anything because he didn't know, and he was like, she'll be home soon, like it'll be fine. But in the beginning of the movie, when they hit a deer, at first I was like towards the middle and end of the film, I was like, why was that even in the movie? Like, that had no significance. And then I was thinking, well, it shows in the moment that she's more cold-hearted about it. She didn't even like feel sad. She was just like, oh, we hit a deer. And he's the one that goes up to it and is staring at it and has this like moment looking at it, and then you realize it's because he's thinking about his mother who was involved in a hit and run. Georgina is their like maid, you know, helper around the house, who obviously it looks strange because when he shows up he sees Georgina and also Walter, who are their like helpers. They have hired them and they're both African American, and so Chris is like, it looks a little strange. And they acknowledge that in the movie when Dean's like, I know it looks bad. But there's a scene where Georgina spills iced tea when she's pouring it for Chris, and that's because the mother, Missy, accidentally clicks a spoon on her glass, and so it kind of takes her out of that trance, because if you've seen the film, you know that they go into the sunken place, which is actually a symbol for racism in America and the paralysis that Black people go through. You find out at the end of the film that Georgina and Walter are actually Dean's parents, and that he, in the beginning, says after they died we couldn't bear to let them go, and so they had actually transplanted the brains into Walter and Georgina's bodies. And so there's a scene where Walter's like running towards Chris, and it's like a really scary moment. I liked that scare, honestly. I think it was really good. It was so like not so much in your face, but it was scary. He was like booking it, and that's because he used to be a runner and that he couldn't get over the fact that a Black man had beat him in the Olympics, I believe. There's interesting color schemes that happen in the film, like at the party when they're like auctioning off, which is a symbolism of slavery that happened in America, which that one's very true. I could definitely see that. But everyone at the party is wearing red and Chris is wearing blue. And so they're saying, is it more of an us versus them ideal, or is it like an homage to American political parties maybe? This one's really interesting. Chris's cell phone camera gives him his first insight into the mystery of Logan's strange behavior. And cell phone footage has been instrumental in shedding light on police brutality cases in America in recent years. And what I thought was even more interesting, that it just like hit me like a ton of bricks, is he pulls cotton out of the chair. Like he picks the leather to pull the cotton out to put it in his ears, so the clinking of the glass does not have an effect on him, so he can, you know, retaliate and get free. He literally picks cotton to be free, which is very symbolic of slavery back in the day. Those are my favorite things that were like brought to my attention after seeing this film, and like knowing it now, I kind of want to go see it again to see if I can spot them, and like, well, obviously I would spot them because I know what I'm looking for, but just to see what else is hidden in there. I feel like this movie has so many layers and it's so complex and there's so much symbolism, but it was all done so well to where it wasn't so much like in your face per se, but it's up for interpretation, and it's just very cool. This was such a cool movie with like how it all unfolded. I will say though, my only negative with this, I give this movie like a 9 out of 10. My only negative with this is it was predictable. I knew the whole time Rose was in on it, only because, what was it? There was like a reason. I can't remember why. There was like an obvious reason why I knew Rose was in on it. This is why I have to film things like right when I see them, because I just forget. But yeah, I've talked about this for a really long time. I feel like we should wrap it up, but definitely see this. I think it was so well done, and it definitely makes the viewer feel so uncomfortable regardless of your race. And I think he did an amazing job with this. And the comedy, like I said, it was few and far between, but when it was funny, it was good and it landed. It wasn't like try hard, so that was really good. Let me know your thoughts about Get Out. I know it has a lot of, you know, social issues and like political things going on within it, so I know it can be kind of controversial, but I hope we can all acknowledge that racism is a real thing and that it's still happening. I hope that's just, you know, a given thing. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Obviously, please, since this is a sensitive subject, be respectful of everyone else in the comments. Any rudeness or blatant racist things in there, I will definitely delete, so just be kind to each other. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.